So welcome everybody. This is kind of the kickoff, not kind of, but it is the kickoff meeting to what we're calling the Bridge to Success. And this is the pilot program that is placing VR case managers or counselors at each of your colleges. And you have volunteered, thankfully, to participate in this pilot project for us to see what the impact will be as we try to continue to serve our IDD students. I am recording this kickoff meeting for us this morning. We'll also have the slides available, and so hopefully the video recording and the slides will be available next week for everybody. I'm expecting that that'll be sent out probably by either Ashley Kroom or Dr. Merritt or Tori Reynolds, one of those three people next week sometime. And so really our intent today is to briefly go over kind of the MOU, the legislation a little bit, the VR's role in all of this, the college role. But really we want to save time here at the end to do Q&A to make sure you guys have any questions, can get those questions answered as quickly as possible. Because this is a pilot program, we thought it would be good though to start with introductions because we think that your colleges and the personnel might have regularly meetings cadenced in the future over the next year or so and be able to share ideas and lessons learned over the upcoming years. So we thought it'd be a good idea for us to go ahead and begin by getting to know one another. I think the easiest way to do that is for me to just kind of go down the list of people and just I'll call your name and ask you to introduce yourself to the rest of the group, your name, your agency or college that you're at, and then your role at that agency or college. I think probably is the best way for us to go. And I think, yep, we're up to 18 people, so that's good. I'll start. So my name is J.W. Kelly, and I currently serve as the Associate Vice President of Student Services here at the system office. And Brian, I've got you next on the list. So Brian.
Hey everyone, Brian Merritt, Senior VP, Chief Academic Officer here at the system office. Good to see y'all.
Thanks, Brian. Courtney Morton.
Good morning. I'm Courtney Morton. I'm at South Piedmont Community College, and I'm the Access to Achievement Coordinator.
Excellent. Thank you, Courtney. J.J. Evans.
Good morning, everyone. J.J. Evans at South Piedmont Community College, VP of Student Services.
Excellent. Thanks, J.J. Elaine Klopfelter.
Good morning. I'm the Director of Student Advocacy and Accountability and the Title IX Coordinator at South Piedmont Community College.
Thanks, Elaine. Fairleigh Payton.
Good morning. I'm Fairleigh Patton from AB Tech. I'm the Vice President for Student Services.
Sorry about that mispronunciation, Fairleigh. Gene Smith.
Hello, I'm Gene Smith, President of Brunswick Community College.
Thank you, Gene. Greg Bland.
Good morning, everybody. I serve as the Vice President for Continuing Education, Economic, and Workforce Development at Brunswick Community College.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Kimberly Gregory. We can't hear you, Kimberly.
Oh, let me try that again.
Okay.
Good morning, Kimberly Gregory, Director of College and Career Readiness at College of the Albemarle.
Excellent. Thank you, Kimberly. And Heather Pack.
Good morning, I'm Heather Pack, Director of Student Support Services at AB Tech.
Thank you, Heather. Jack Bagwell.
Good morning, everyone. Jack Bagwell, President of COA.
Hi. Thank you, sir. Kelly Stegall.
Good morning, Kelly Stegall, Dean of the School of College and Career Readiness at South Piedmont Community College.
Thank you. Ken Engel.
Good morning, Ken Engel, President at Alamance Community College.
Kim Fall.
Good morning, Kim Fall at Wilkes Community College, VP Instructional Support and Student Services.
Hey, Kim. Adrian Kittle.
Good morning. I'm Adrienne Kittle, Program Specialist for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities with North Carolina Division of Employment and Independence, formerly Vocational Rehabilitation.
That's a mouthful, isn't it? We're going to have to get used to saying that new name instead of VR. Okay.
Correct.
All right, Chris.
Good morning, Chris Burris, Vice President, Student Success and Enrollment Management, College of the Albemarle.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. And last but not least, Nancy Guy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nancy Guy. I'm the State Director for the Access to Achievement Initiative.
Thank you. And the reason we took the time to go through that is because we're hoping we're building a little bit of a camaraderie and a team here between the pilot colleges. Hopefully you all will get to know each other even more over the coming year or so as we go through this project. Did I miss anybody as I was going down the list?
Yes, I'm Justin Snyder, Vice President, Workforce Development at Alamance Community College.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Sorry about that.
That's okay, no worries.
Yeah, anyone else? Did I miss anybody? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go through these slides fairly quickly because we don't want to have death by PowerPoint. And we want to get to the Q&A piece here at the end as quickly as we can. So next up is we have, well, there's introductions. Sorry about that. So I think we have Adrian. Is this the slide I think you're going to cover for us a little bit here to talk about the program?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
So sure. So we've been in meetings with the community college system after the funding was allocated with the legislature with planning. And so really the focus of today is to get the pilot off the ground. So the intention is for our agency, Division of Employment and Independence for People with Disabilities, to identify 6 VR case managers, we're calling them, to work more closely with the community college system, with each college selected, so that those case managers will be on the campus to provide more intensive supports. I know for many of you, hopefully we have good relationships already with disability services offices, with the community colleges, but I really see this as kind of a step up and a more intensive program specifically to support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are students in the community college system. So it's a 2-year pilot funded by the General Assembly, and the sites are listed there. And I think you can go to the next slide.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think the only thing that I would add to that is that each of the colleges that were selected are also part of the IDD project that Nancy Guy is leading. And so we felt like that this would be an excellent opportunity to take some of the colleges that were a part of Nancy's group with the IDD project to see what would it look like if there were these VR case managers on your campuses, and compare that to the other colleges as well to see if there was a different impact when it came to how we serve our students. Brian, you were kind of thinking about that as well. Is any additional information you might want to add?
Yeah, thanks, JW. I think that this slide and the next slide, it might have been me that was supposed to cover these. You two probably took most of what I was going to say, but I'll just start by saying, thank you to the 6 colleges for agreeing to be part of this pilot. I think that the timing of this could not be better, just like JW said. If what we're going to do today, I think, is focus, try to focus in 30 minutes and let you all learn a lot about, what the previously, known as the Division of VR Services, or EIPD, what exactly, what type of services and what exactly will a VR counselor be doing on your campus? Because I think that was a learning curve for us exactly over the past, couple months as we've engaged with the group and formed the MOU and started to kind of create this program. One of the things that, JW just alluded to is, we're really interested in, and we're in the process of contracting with an evaluator right now for our IDD workforce training program, to measure the ROI, to measure the impact, and make sure that we can truly tell the story about that program. But we think that this is going to be a really great case when you have a pilot like this, to really take a look at the addition of VR counselors on a college campus, in addition to an IDD workforce training program that you all are helping us create across the state. We're going to be able to really tell a great story about what this type of service could add, and the value add on a college campus, in cooperation with, especially with the IDD workforce training program. So I think we're not going to take time to go through the MOU today, but if you want to read the legislation, you just take a look at the 2023 budget from it was passed last October, and but really I think it's been covered right now. What we're doing for the next 2 years is placing these counselors on your campuses, and cooperating with VR to deploy these services to you all, and specifically engage with your IDD program, but not exclusively with the IDD workforce training program. It's really just meant to be a value add to your community. So so with that, I think we're moving into learning more about VR, or excuse me, IEPD.
Thank you, Brian. And I will remind everybody that in the invitation to participate in this pilot, we did include the legislation and the draft MOU. So you should have copies of it there. The MOU is between the system office and VR, or EIPID and Element OP. It's between the system office and the other agency, not with the colleges. So you're not signatories upon that MOU. If you want a copy of it though, and you can't find it, let me know, and we'll get a copy of it to you. So I think that the next part that we had in our presentation here is for EIPD to kind of talk about the responsibilities from their perspective, and then we'll talk about the responsibilities that we expect from the colleges. So, Adrian?
Okay. So as we mentioned, there will be a full-time VR case manager posted at each college. So we're in the process of recruitment right now. We'd hope to have the position posted, but that's not quite ready yet. But the goal would be for these case managers to offer the full array of services that vocational rehabilitation can provide. So the case manager is also responsible for doing outreach and providing information and career guidance to potential program participants in their role. So they will provide VR services to eligible students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So typically our process is that once someone's determined eligible for services, we develop an individualized plan for employment that identifies a specific job goal, and that case manager would be responsible for coordinating all the services and supports that are necessary to help reach that goal, including the services that may be offered through the community college. So as you probably know, we're a potential funding source to pay for college training if individuals meet our financial eligibility, and if we've exhausted other resources like Pell Grant and other educational grants. But that would be the case manager's responsibility. And then, as I mentioned, we're also going to do outreach to help target referrals and to explain the program. Next slide.
Okay. So I think this one's my slide. So the responsibilities that we're asking of the college, which was in your invitation, is first of all, just general office space. Of course, if that office space can be located as close as possible where IDD students may be being served, or in close proximity in partnership with the access coordinator from Nancy's group. We just want to encourage that collaboration between those two programs and make it easy for students to find the VR counselor. Also, we need each college to identify who's going to be the primary leader at that campus for the point of contact. And we're guessing In a lot of cases, that may be your access coordinator, or it may be somebody else. It may be one of your supervisors or your managers. Of course, that's completely up to you. But we anticipate that there will be ongoing meetings and collaboration between colleges and sharing of best practices. And to whoever that main point of contact is, we'll need you to start thinking about who that should be, so that way you can let us know in the upcoming months. Last but not least, is that there is a requirement in the legislation that we report to the General Assembly about the mental health resources that were provided to these students. We know that that looks different at each campus, how you provide those mental health services to your students. And so we're probably going to need a one-pager or a flyer that is developed at each campus that lists all the mental health resources that are available on your campus, and who do you refer students to if there's mental health concerns. And if that is on a flyer or one pager, then the VR counselor can provide that to any of the students they're working with, and we can meet that requirement from in the legislation. So I think those are the three main responsibilities that we have for the community colleges. I feel like we've covered a lot up to this point. I'm going to check the chat and pause here, if that's all right, to see if there's any questions up to this point. Yeah, Kim, I will throw those links in the chat. And so that way you'll have those links. Any other questions before we move on? I'm not seeing anybody unmute, so we'll keep it moving then.
JW, this is Greg at Brunswick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Greg. What's up?
My computer glitched for just a second. Who did you say to send that one pager to?
When the VR counselor is hired for your campus, they're the ones that are going to need copies of that flyer, so they can hand it out to students as that are become part of their caseload.
Okay, that's as far as the one pager will go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And of course, I mean, you can use it for other students too. So if you already have something you're using to hand out to students, I mean, don't reinvent the wheel. We just want to make sure that there's something available for these students so we can meet that requirement in the legislation. All right. Hey, JJ.
Good morning, Dr. Kelly. When it comes to tracking our caseload or monitoring, progress or ongoing work with students, will the EPI
EIPD.
will EIPD provide like the software or tool for case management, or will we be relying upon what we use here at the local college?
I'll let Adrienne answer that question. I believe that it'll be the responsibility of the VR EIPD case manager to do all tracking and reporting. That won't be part of the college's responsibility. Is that correct, Adrienne?
Right. I think once someone applies for our services through our electronic case management system, we would have a way to track for reporting purposes any of the information that we would need.
That answer your question, JJ?
Yes, thank you much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll go ahead and move forward. You can talk a little bit about the job description and what the person will be doing, Adrienne.
So sure. So we are hiring temp positions, as I mentioned, and they're case manager positions, so that we the minimum requirement would be a bachelor's degree. And then any, obviously we're hoping to target individuals who might have experience working with this population and some familiarity with VR services, but we'll provide training in the beginning if someone comes on board that doesn't have that information. And we will share the link to the posting as soon as we get it. Like I said, we were hoping to have that already. But we'll be doing outreach and with that outreach, then initiating applications for services. Hopefully we'll get referrals through the community college. And then that once someone's been determined eligible for services, then like I said, that next step is that the case manager would be responsible for developing the plan for employment, which would identify all the services that individual would need to prepare for and find employment. So that could include training, direct employment services for job placements as well.
And I think that we mentioned that if your college is aware of somebody in your community that may be interested in working in this, we would definitely ask that you help advertise and recruit people to apply for this position. Especially for our colleges in more of a rural area. We know that your network of eligible and qualified people in the area would be very helpful in making sure we get a good quality person in this position. So once we have that posting available, we'll get that sent out to each of the colleges so you can help advertise and recruit for that position. Any other questions, Kim? I think I saw you put something in the chat.
I did.
Let's see, I'm sorry. I'm being a little technically challenged today.
I can just say it out loud. So,
Okay.
we work with VR a lot right now with disability services. So can this person on our campus serve all students who are registered with disability services, or just this subpopulation of IDD students?
So the counselor or case manager on the campus would be targeted to serve individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then the existing counselor or the local office would be responsible for identifying who would be the counselor to serve any other referrals from the community college.
Okay, thank you.
So it would be separate, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is Chris from COA. Will the VR counselor be permitted to go to the different campus locations, and how will that work with travel and reimbursement for mileage and those types of things?
So as long as the community college supports it, the case manager can go where the need is. They would be temp employees with us, so we would be responsible, I believe, right, JW, for any transportation. That would be something that would be covered through EIPD.
That was my understanding. That would be funded by the General Assembly funds, not by the college campus.
Thank you.
If you want to put the link to that job posting in the chat, that would help us be able to help you recruit.
Yes, I'm working on that, and that's why I was having trouble clicking between getting it downloaded and getting it in the chat. Thank you, Kim.
And the job description can be shared. We don't have the posting to the actual link to apply because that hasn't been finalized yet.
I see it in the slide, but we can't click on the slide.
Right,
so.
right.
Right. I've got it coming your way, Kim.
Thank you.
Or at least I'm trying to. If I fail, then I'll get it emailed out to everybody. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on as we're running out of time here. I think everybody's familiar with EIPD and VR. Do we have any questions about what the main service and mission is of EIPD? If not, then we'll just go ahead and move through these slides. I'll pause here to see if there's any questions. Thought it would be good if people knew who they were working with, just to make sure.
I have just a quick question, if I can here. Is there
Yes, sir.
a resource or a plan for a resource to identify old name, new name, what's being done? Is there like a play, the football play drawn out here? I mean, we've been going back and forth with some terms. We used to call it this, it's now called that. When we communicate this to our communities and to our boards of trustees and to our faculty who we want folks to be communicating out, it'd be helpful to have how all this fits together with what we did, what we're doing, where we're going, why we're doing it. Has that been developed? Maybe it was and I missed it. Does that make sense? Or am I the only one that's thinking, I need a playbook almost?
I think that's an excellent question. And so the official name of VR is EIPD. I think we're using them interchangeably just because we're used to VR. And so I don't want to speak for Adrian, but I think your preference is that we use EIPD.
Right. And we still provide, I wasn't sure if your question was specific to our name change or the overall program itself, but yeah, I think for our new division name, and there has been some communication that's gone out to partners regarding the name change, and certainly we have some material that I can share with you. Yeah, and I think we are still using both because people are familiar with our old name, and it's still, it's an array of vocational rehabilitation services, so that still is referenced in our description of the services, but the new name of our division is Division of Employment and Independence for People with Disabilities, to better capture hopefully what we do.
But the counselor is going to be a VR counselor, or are we using EIPD counselor?
I would say I think it's an EIPD case manager because it's a bachelor's level position, but then they would provide vocational rehabilitation services. Maybe that's the way I would describe it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did that
Hi, this
answer your
is
question? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. This is Kim from COA. I do have a follow-up question with that. Will you provide some marketing resources and tools that we'll be able to use as we launch this on our campuses?
So I'm not, have we developed anything?
We just
Specific
decided
for
on
this
the name
project?
last week.
True.
So,
Right.
but I think that's a great suggestion. And that's also, I think, the suggestion from JJ here from South Piedmont. So I think that's something we can work on over the summer. And I think that will help with your concerns, Jack.
Absolutely.
If we have some marketing material there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the crux of what I was trying to get to, to be able to effectively communicate this and consistently communicate it. We struggle with that already with different, a variety of things. And as we create new things, connecting the dots is going to be, I think, imperative for success. So I think we're all on the same page there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for those suggestions, and we'll get started on that. And that'll be one of our summer projects before the people are hired. So this is a brief timeline, and I guess what we're adding to this timeline now is that we will have marketing material ready before August gets here, or sooner if at all possible. And Adrian, if you could take that back to the group, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
So we'll stop here. Are there any other questions? I think I caught all of them in the chat, except I still have the task to email out the documents to everybody. Gene, did you have a question? I saw your video come on.
No, sir, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir. I think I'm supposed to wait a full 10 seconds. Problem is, I'm an Army guy, so we can only count to 4.
I'll ask
Uh,
one more question, JW.
Yeah, Kim.
So I'll be honest with you, we're continuing to struggle with, we're moving forward with our program, but that definition of who's an IDD student has been very fluid and very changing. And I'm still not 100% sure who we can and can't serve within that definition, because I feel like it's ever changing, and we've been told to kind of look at this umbrella big picture, but a more defined definition, I still think is going to be helpful for schools, because right now I'm thinking, well, who am I not serving? Right? If they're registered with disability services and we've got this broad umbrella for the term, who is that I'm excluding, right? And so I just wanted to put that out there, because I know as a college we are still struggling with that, and I don't know if anybody else on the call that's part of the IDD program is experiencing that, and if they're not, then maybe tell us how you're how you're managing that.
Kim,
I
this
think-
is Chris from COA, and I will let you know that again, I'm the Vice President of Student Success and Enrollment Management, and I had a meeting with the directors within the division yesterday, and we are still struggling to determine how does this all fit together. What's the role of the accessibility coordinator? What's the role of the new IDD position? And now with the VR case manager coming. And so I think it's really going to have to be a big conversation to identify the roles and responsibilities as we move forward, and make sure it's a partnership versus those siloed positions. I don't have the answer yet, but I do know that's where I'm thinking that we need to head is, how do we make it a partnership, and that these individuals are working closely together when students self-identify.
And thank you, Chris and Kim, for those comments. I think that's excellent. I know we struggled with similar conversations when we were looking at the MOU. And so I'd like to, if it's all right, Adrian and Nancy, I think it'll be important for maybe the two of you to get together, or our two groups, to start working on what that target audience looks like for both of your projects, and how can they interrelate as instead of conflict with one another. And then once we get that drafted, maybe that'll be the topic of our first meeting of this group. Is then, just because we've come up with a great idea and definitions here at the state level, we need the colleges to kind of chew it up and tell us what it looks like when it gets operationalized. Nancy, Adrian, is that something you can draft and begin to work on?
Absolutely.
Okay, Nancy, does that sound good to you too?
I think so. I really, I would really like to involve the colleges in this, because operationally it's how it works at a local college and what their workflow is. And we've had some colleges present, we're going to do this in accessibility services, and the other folks will be doing this. And that seemed pretty clear, but obviously if it isn't clear, to everyone, then it needs to be made clear. And we need to make sure we're not working at cross purposes or being too siloed. So I would like to, maybe Adrian and I can figure out how, and maybe what we need to do is, just since this is a subgroup of the Access to Achievement IDD training program group, maybe we could just let this group work on some of those operational, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about workflow a lot, I think. At least that's the way I interpret it. So,
well, and since Chris and Kim kind of spoke up about this, would you guys be willing to get together with Nancy and Adrian to kind of chew up on this and get something drafted up?
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, guys. Because I think you're right, Nancy, and everybody. Your expertise at the local level is critical. Okay. JJ asked in the chat whether there was going to be ongoing meetings. Yes, we expect there will be ongoing meetings, not just with the IDD group with Nancy, but also this subgroup within it. We expect that to happen. We haven't figured out what that cadence looks like yet, because we don't want to over meet, of course. I saw somebody's hand up earlier, but then it went down. Is there another question of somebody I missed? I know that we're over our time by about 5 minutes, though.
JW, this is Kelly Stegall from South Piedmont Community College. I was really just going to echo what Nancy was saying about trying to just ensure that the focus of the EIPD overlaps with the population that we're serving in access to achievement. And I know there's been some conversation about initially that was more of a narrow focus when the access to achievement initiative started, but that seems to have broadened a little to include more disabilities. So just making sure that those two overlap so that, you know, we're really clear at the community college level on how these students can be served in both areas.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, so while you guys are thinking, if you have any extra questions, I'll review action items real quick. The first one is that I need to email out the MOU and the job description to everybody, so you'll have a copy of that. The next action item is that the slides and the recording should go out next week to everybody invited to this meeting. And then Adrian in EIPD is going to work on some marketing material that we will have available to be adopted at each college for communication to the community and to the campus. And then the last action item is what we just discussed, and that's Chris and Kim and Nancy and Adrian are going to get together at some point, and hopefully sooner rather than later, to start talking about our target audience to make sure that that is well defined and operationalized. Did I miss anything? Kim?
No, I'm just laughing. Is this your last day, JW?
Yes, this is my last my last meeting. I had to come in.
I'm gonna laugh at your to-do list. I can imagine it's quite long in your last day.
So why do you think I asked Nancy if she would take care of this?
Yes, well, we wish you well. We'll miss you.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you. And yes, sir.
I do also want to thank you for all that you've done for the colleges in your role at the system office. You know, you've helped quite a bit, and we're always very responsive, and appreciate that. And you know, with the mental health and safety committee for the presidents, your work with that has also been outstanding. So I look forward to you in your next role.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys, and I appreciate all the kudos. Looking forward to getting over to McDowell County, actually moving into the rental tomorrow, and then start looking for a house. So Kim, if you have a house to sell in McDowell County, let me know. I'll take a look at it. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. And I think I'm very excited about this project. I look forward to hearing reports about it in the near future, because in my mind, it just makes sense. And if we position ourselves correctly, I think we can ask for more money and scale this to more colleges, because I just don't see how it won't be successful. It just makes sense that it should be. So thank you, everybody, for your time and for your willingness to serve students in this project. And we'll get that information out to you as quickly as we can. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you around. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.